Good evening. Welcome to the proving grounds, though. Right now, it's not really like I have much to prove. It's the evening. Kids are asleep. I got some time to myself, so I'm getting caught up on a little bit of reading here. And the interesting thing that I found today is Apache IV injection flaw lets attackers exfiltrate sensitive data. The short version is that there's a flaw or vulnerability in the Apache database software that allows people to take out data, or it creates a breach. Think of it as a Walmart for sensitive information. Hackers or any other threat can go in, use this vulnerability, and help themselves to HIPAA data, which is health information, passwords, financial data, depending on which Apache server and which version has this vulnerability. That's a short version. I mean, I could actually just read this, and I am going to be reading this because it's more to get myself caught up to date. Because, quite honestly, I normally have to read this 2 or 3 times because sometimes the verbiage can be a little, not highbrow, a little bit more technical than I like. But the blind XPath injection vulnerability was discovered by Apache software. Fine. It allows you to access and take out data. That's fine. We covered that. This vulnerability exists in the parsing of XML files in the versions lesser than 2.5.2. I don't really give two what's about the exact version, but here they're being a little specific. So anything older than this that's in an XML file format, the way things are actually sorted, that's basically what parsing means from my understanding. That's where the vulnerability lies. Now, Maven PCM's project object modules, which allows external documentation, downloading, and expansion of any entity references. Oh boy, I love it when they talk like this because that means I gotta read it 2 or 3 times just to make sure I understand what the hell I'm reading. Let's go a little further ahead. Threat actors can exploit this blind path, this vulnerability, and manipulate or execute the Ivy in different ways or access sensitive information inside the machine. Basically, it's due to an improper restriction of XML external entity references. Okay, so there's something that you do with the XML file that's not done right or not set up right. So this is going to take someone who's really good with XML, or a programmer that's actually taking the time as to how they're going to state things and how they want things to be put into the XML file and how it's going to be pulled. In short, someone's got to do a better job of setting this up. That's fine. What else have we got here? It is a dependency manager which resolves project dependencies and is a part of the Apache Ant project. For most laymen, it's all Apache. We don't really care about which part of the project it is. There's the vulnerability that lies there and it uses XML. If your project doesn't rely on XML, or you're not really using Apache, then you don't really care. But if your project ties in with somebody else's project that does, you need to know about this and ask the questions to see if they've done their due diligence. It's important. I mean, it's covered under CVE ID, and then here's this vulnerability has this identification, so that way you can look it up on your own to get further details. I'm not going to go and drag you through the entire article, but I figure this is something to get you going and looking in the right direction if you need to protect your project. Or if you're working in an enterprise setup and you are using Apache, this is going to give you agita, and you're probably going to be looking into this tonight instead of getting a good night's sleep and looking in the morning. For that I apologize, but heck, if you're listening to me, that means, and you haven't heard about this, then you're welcome. If you're already up to date, then that means other people have already written about this and you're already aware, and I'm just rehashing old information. I apologize for boring you, but in either case, it's an educational piece for myself, just so that way I know I got some more studying and preparations to do. So for that, thank you for showing up and have a good evening.